I'd like to make a few points here. So first, we have to understand how do most people figure out if something is world class or someone is world class. And let's assume this is being done in our own field. So, whatever field we are in, design, engineering, product management, I will make the observation that it is a skill to figure out how talented or how skilled somebody else is. It is absolutely a skill. It's not a skill everybody possesses. Everybody thinks they possess it. The manner in which most people judge somebody's skill is basically through a very lagging measurement of results, and not just results but consensus results. When the world agrees that okay, these results are exceptional, that's when a majority of people will then say, oh, this person is very skilled or must be very skilled, must be world class, must be at the top of their game. Now, for anyone who's listening who thinks, okay, yes, that's plausible, but that doesn't apply to me, I will perhaps ask a very simple question. Let's imagine we're in 2012. You pay to go to a conference, and that conference, like most conferences, has multiple sessions running at the same time. And it's a high quality conference, let's just say. There are two options you have, right? One option is you can attend a session with, let's say, Mark Pincus, the founder of Zynga. And the other option at the same time, concurrently, is a session with Jensen Huang, the founder CEO of NVIDIA. So now understand that this is 2012. And my simple question is, which of those two sessions would you have chosen to attend? If you said Jensen Huang, you are most likely lying to yourself. Most people in, say, software product management would have attended the Mark Pincus session. Nothing wrong with it. Mark Pincus is brilliant. Okay, let's imagine 2012 conference never happened. Now imagine it's 2024. Same situation, 1 o'clock session, concurrent, Mark Pincus, Jensen Huang. What session are you attending now? Then it's worth thinking, okay, so what changed in 12 years? Did Jensen Huang suddenly become much smarter or a much better communicator? Did you become more wise about whom to listen to or what world class looks like or what somebody at the top of their game looks like? And ask yourself how much of this decision or this change in what session you attend is simply related to NVIDIA's stock price now versus back then. Furthermore, ask yourself, because there's levels of depth here that most people don't even think about, none of which requires high IQ, but most people don't think about it, which is why most people can't think as clearly as they would wish. Ask yourself if actually attending Jensen Huang's session in 2024 is the right call for you. How much alpha are you going to get? How much of an advantage are you going to get in 2024 from listening to Jensen versus how much advantage you might have gotten in 2012? I'll further make the observation that you would have gotten way more alpha in 2012 listening to Jensen than the founders and product people who obsessively follow everything he says now in 2024. I'm sure the man has grown in the last 12 years, but I'm certain that he was extremely smart and insightful in 2012 too. So this shows up in everything you decide to consume. In fact, not just what you decide to consume, but the value you attribute to something, the level of insight you attribute and observe in some piece of writing is largely a function of this kind of the authority or the lagging success of the individual who's sharing it more than the content itself. I'll also observe that smart people don't want to admit this to themselves. And smart people want to maintain this sense that they are very smart, they're very rational, they're very intelligent. So what do we do as smart people? What we do is we say, oh, yeah, no stress. It has nothing to do with any of this stuff. They'll come up with reasons like, oh, I want to listen from somebody who's been in the arena or who is in the arena right now. Or I want my company to be like NVIDIA now. That's why I want to go to that session. Again, smart people, they do need to be reminded that you fall prey to this all the time, which is you first make a decision and then you justify it with some convoluted logic that makes you feel smart and makes you sound smart. So once you really internalize it, you will see that there are sources of expertise, sources of knowledge, sources of alpha that you have been ignoring because you are looking for who's the famous, highly successful person I look up to that is saying something. And you just attribute tremendous wisdom, tremendous insight to words that are in fact not that insightful because you are just dazzled by the celebrity and the net worth and the prestige associated with that person. Now, so where does this arise? The root cause of this is a deficiency or an absolute lack of taste. Because I want you to think about this. Like, why wouldn't you be able to see a piece of writing that is particularly insightful, particularly useful for you? Why wouldn't you be able to detect how special it is, how much alpha it'll give you if you truly understand it and internalize it and act according to it? And similarly, now let's take it to work situations. You observe somebody working with you, maybe they're a counterpart in engineering, design, product, whatever the case might be. Are you able to see when you're working that they are at the top of their game before they reach these kind of external consensus signs and signals that this person is at the top of their game? And the reason many of us cannot do that is because we are lacking taste, or in some ways deficient in taste. Literally, what is taste, right? Taste is the ability to identify, sometimes in non-consensus ways, the quality of a certain thing. So in that sense, these things are opposites. Taste is merely about looking at the object in front of you, whatever that is, whether it's a document somebody wrote, a piece of content somebody created, or something else, a piece of software that you can play with, to be able to judge that on its own merits without any other biases, including where this originated from. So, there are people in the workplace who will proudly say things like, well, I'm a very tough grader. I'm very discerning and I never am satisfied with what is presented to me. They nitpick and they find all sorts of problems and all sorts of proposals, and basically they're never happy with anything. Well, if you think about it, that whole I'm a tough grader thing, including things like, well, you need to prove results to me, right? I'm not going to make any kind of judgment around your talent and your ability until I see these lagging results. And that makes me sound very smart. That makes me sound like a great leader, great business person, etc. These are all excuses for a lack of taste. Because think about it, it takes zero skill or talent to basically criticize everything that came in front of you. Take zero skill, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. You can take some sports analogies too. You can look at the goats of each sport and you can say, yeah, that's Sachin Tendulkar. He wasn't that good. He had these problems. Messi, yeah, he's okay, but he lost so many matches. Yeah, Tom Brady, yeah, he won a few Super Bowls, but he messed up in so many other places. Yeah, not good enough, right? Like it takes zero skill to do that. My question is, could you have detected a Tom Brady before Tom Brady became Tom Brady? Could you have detected a Sachin Tendulkar at age 14? Not at age 16, but at age 14. And you likely couldn't have because you're not a cricket expert, you're not a football expert, you're not an NFL expert. So the point is, you couldn't have. But can you do it in your own field? Something you are going to spend tens of thousands of hours of your life on. Can you do it in your own field? Is the question, right? So now the last part of this is, well, how does one develop that taste? How does one do it? How does one detect that somebody is world class? How does one detect that somebody is at the top of their game? Well, the manner in which you do it, I already explained, which is you have to be able to just look at the artifact, whatever it is, and be able to, without biases, which is very difficult, evaluate it. And that does require a certain baseline level of skill in your craft, right? Like if you're completely clueless, you're not going to be able to do it because you don't have that skill, right? So it does require a certain baseline level of skill. Most people possess that baseline skill. So it is actually not a skill issue. It is a mindset issue because most people have a lot of this garbage, all of these biases that get in the way. These are biases about what the world is. These are biases about who you are. These are also biases about what does it mean for me if I accept that somebody else is at the top of their game in my own craft. What does it mean for me? For some people, it is a source of enthusiasm. It's a source of excitement. It's a source of curiosity. For other people, it engenders insecurity, fear, self doubt, disappointment in oneself. And if that happens to you, recognize that because our tendency as human beings, when we are confronted with these feelings is to shoo them away. And the manner in which we shoo them away is by saying, it wasn't that good. Or, wait, I need to wait for the results, right? And by the way, when the great results come in, what do we do then? We start attributing the results to luck, extraneous factors. Oh, they had a good team. They were supported by a great team, or whatever else. Or the other path we pursue, usually, is we then start saying, oh, yeah, I could have also done it had I not been facing these adverse circumstances. Had my engineering partner been more amenable, had my boss been smarter, if I were born with a different skin color, if I were born in a different location on the planet, if I were born in a different time, a different gender, different whatever, we start attributing whatever we feel our shortcomings are in results to those factors, right? So it's either that this other person who is at the top of their game is just lucky, or they're supported by the right structure, or they were born in the right place, in the right time, with the right ethnicity, whatever the case might be, whatever identities we associate to ourselves. And it's like, oh, yeah, of course they did it. But, for me, it is harder. So even this whole thing of I'll wait for the results is basically an excuse. Again, think about it. If you do have to wait for results to be able to tell how good something is, what is your skill? What is your talent? Any idiot can do that. Any idiot can look at NVIDIA's earnings reports and say, oh, yeah, the CEO and founder must be really skilled. Any idiot can do that. My question is, could you do that in 2012?